This is the Roborock Saros 10R Robot Vacuum and Mop, and I've lived with it daily for 6 months across a mixed setup of hardwood, tile, and a couple of area rugs, plus a very furry dog and plenty of long hair. I wanted something slim enough to reach under my low sofa, strong enough to pull up grit from doorways, and smart enough to run on a schedule without constant babysitting. That's the promise I bought into, and here's how it actually performed in my home. Key features that stood out to me are the 3.14-inch ultra-thin profile, the 22,000 PSI suction, the DuoDivide anti-tangle brushes, the FlexiArm Riser side brush and mop for edge and corner coverage, the Adaptalift chassis that steps over tall thresholds, and the multifunctional Dock 4.0 that handles self-emptying, hot water mop washing, and warm air drying. On paper, it's loaded. In day-to-day use, most of that spec sheet actually translates. From my experience, the height is a big deal. The Saros 10R slides under furniture that my previous robots could never touch because of the usual LiDAR puck on top. Roborock moved the sensing lower and calls the setup StarSight Autonomous System 2.0. In simple terms, it uses a solid-state LiDAR, 3D depth sensors, and a camera to map and avoid stuff. The immediate payoff is obvious. The spaces under my bed and sofa aren't dust reservoirs anymore. I can see the difference on the dust bag changes and in how much less my allergies act up. Obstacle avoidance was rough at the start. Cables and socks tripped it up a few times during the first week. A quick explainer for anyone new. Obstacle avoidance is how the robot sees small hazards and chooses to steer around them. In the app, switching the avoidance setting from the default to sensitive helped a lot. After that change, it slowed down and gave cords more space. It's not perfect, and I still use no-go zones around places where chargers collect, but I went from frequent tangles to rare hiccups. In my opinion, the hardware is capable and the tuning is the variable. Firmware updates have improved pathing for me over time, and I hope Roborock keeps refining this. Vacuum performance is where the Saros 10R shines. 22,000 PSI is a spec way to say the suction is strong. On carpet, you can hear it ramp up automatically with Carpet Boost, and it pulls up fine grit and pet hair that my stick vac still finds, but far less often. The standout is the DuoDivide anti-tangle brush system. 2 rubber rollers spin in opposite directions and funnel hair into the intake. That design has worked beautifully. I used to cut hair off my old robot's brush weekly. With the Saros 10R, I've pulled the brushes out for inspection multiple times and found almost nothing to remove. That's a real quality of life win if your home has long hair or shedding pets. Mopping has leveled up for me because of the FlexiArm Riser system. One mop pad extends when it detects edges and corners, so it actually scrubs right up to the baseboards and reaches under cabinet toe kicks. If you're not familiar, a toe kick is that recessed strip below kitchen or bathroom cabinets where dust loves to hide. The first pass around my kitchen made it obvious this was working. The line of dust that usually collects along the baseboard was gone. The robot also lifts the mop when it rolls across rugs, so my low-pile carpets don't get damp. If I plan a vacuum-only run, I set it to drop the mop modules at the dock before it starts, which saves time and avoids any risk of moisture on carpet. The Adaptalift chassis has been surprisingly useful. It can raise its body and manage door thresholds and transitions up to around 4 centimeters. I have one stubborn metal strip between rooms that stopped other robots. This one climbs it without asking for help. It's a small thing, but it means the robot actually finishes the job without me moving it. The dock is where the Saros 10R earns the hands-off label most days. After each run, it empties the onboard dustbin into a bag and then washes the mop pads with hot water and finishes with warm air drying. Hot wash sounds like a gimmick until you see the difference in pad stains and smell. The drying step matters because it prevents that musty odor some robot mops develop. The dock can also refill the robot's water tank and dose cleaning solution from the cartridge, and it runs a self-clean cycle to keep the base tidy. I usually get weeks between dust bag changes, but that depends on how often you run it and how much hair lives on your floors. The only downside for me is the dock's glossy front. It looks modern, but picks up fingerprints and smudges fast, so I give it a quick wipe every few days. A couple of realities to know. The robot's onboard dustbin and water tank are small. That's the trade-off for the ultra-thin body. The dock is what makes that manageable because the robot shuttles back on its own to empty and refill. The cleaning takes a bit longer on big runs, but I don't have to do anything. Also, the emptying cycle is short and loud, like a quick burst from a small shop vac. It's not a sustained noise, but it's noticeable if you're on a call. Setup was simple. I attached the ramp, plugged in the dock, and use the Roborock app to connect. It supports 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi only, so I had to enable that band on my router. The app is one of the better ones I've used. Clear maps, room naming, custom routines, and no-go zones are easy to draw. I set weekday and weekend schedules, and I like that I can tell it to vacuum first and mop later in specific rooms. Voice control works well with Hello Rocky, and it doesn't need internet for basic commands like start, pause, and return to dock, which is handy. The camera features are more than a novelty for me. I use the two-way video to check on my dog when I'm out, and the pet search shortcut actually helps me find what room she decided to nap in. If that's not your thing, you can leave the camera features off in the app. Battery life has kept up with my space. I get close to 3 hours on a standard run, and if it ever needs more, it returns to charge and resumes without losing the plot. The quick charge feels genuinely quick. I can schedule 2 full passes in a day without issues. In my opinion, the Saros 10R is a machine built around real homeowner pain points: cleaning under low furniture, stopping hair tangles, scrubbing edges, and crossing thresholds. It nails those. The part that needed extra attention for me was obstacle avoidance with small, soft objects like cables and socks. Switching to sensitive mode and adding a few no-go zones solved most of it. The glossy dock front is a cosmetic nitpick, but I do notice it. The 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi requirement is also worth knowing up front, especially if you rely on 5 GHz only. It's perfect for homes with low couches and beds, pet owners who are tired of cleaning hair off brushes, and anyone who wants the dock to handle pad washing and drying without manual work. From my experience, it's also a much quieter cleaner than older robots I've owned, especially when mopping, which makes it easier to run while I'm working. I'd recommend this for people who want top-tier mechanical cleaning and don't mind doing a little digital housekeeping in the app to keep cords and clutter out of the way. If your floors are always scattered with small items, you'll want to use no-go zones or pick up before a run. If you can do that, the results are consistently solid. In conclusion, the Roborock Saros 10R delivers on its core promises. It fits where others can't, pulls up debris with real power, keeps hair off the rollers, and actually cleans edges and corners. The dock reduces hands-on maintenance to near zero, and the app gives you the control you need to tailor it to your space. I had early concerns about small object avoidance, but with settings tweaks and updates, it's become reliable in my home. If you value under-furniture coverage and low-maintenance ownership, this is a strong pick. Please check the comments section for detailed information about the Roborock Saros 10R Robot Vacuum and Mop. Thank you for watching.